Hi guys, I'm Holly and welcome to Pilates PT. This workout will be a 45-minute Trimester 1 Pilates and low impact cardio workout that will focus on the whole body. I call this method the bump plan. In fact, the bump plan has helped over 20,000 women so far stay active throughout their pregnancies, so I'm excited to have you joining me today. For reference, I'm currently 12 weeks pregnant, so this workout will be suitable for any stage of Trimester 1. Throughout my pregnancy, I'll be uploading new trimester-specific workouts each week. If you like workouts like these and want to get notified, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell. All you'll need for this workout is a mat and some water to keep hydrated. Oh, and stick around at the end of the workout for a few minutes. I've got a surprise for you that if you enjoy this workout, you'll love. If you're ready to get going, then let's start. Okay, so let's just start by marching on the spots. Nice and easy to begin with and nice and low. You don't have to go high and fast just yet. Save that for in a moment. And it might sound really strange, but I want you to get those ankles really moving. So point and flex, really exaggerating the movement there. Because during pregnancy, we have up to 50% more fluid in our body. Gravity pulls the fluid down, obviously towards the ground. Your calf muscles help to push that blood back towards the heart. So really think about getting those calves working. And if you get puffy ankles, puffy feet, this can really help during the day. Now, just a few little bits of health and safety whilst we're warming up here. So the class is going to be combining lower impact cardio, functional movement and Pilates. Now, during those cardio sections, I want you to be working at a moderate intensity. Now, this would mean you could still talk. So you can tell me what you had for breakfast, what you're going to have for dinner. If you can't talk, you need to scale it back a little bit. Another way of thinking about it is a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 is you sat on the sofa doing nothing, and 10 is you at the end of a marathon, so maximum effort. Moderate intensity is about a 6 or a 7. So see if you can kind of pitch it around there. And that's going to look different for everybody. So you might be able to work quicker than me or faster than me, but some of you might need to make it a little bit easier than me. So just make sure you adapt it to suit you. Now let's take these legs a little bit higher. If you already have a bit of a bump, you can take your legs into some turnout so you don't feel like you're bashing your bump or your bladder. And I also want you to make sure that you've got some water nearby. I know it's really tempting, especially in that first trimester, to kind of scale back on water because all of a sudden you need to pee more often, but make sure you do stay hydrated during the class and don't get too hot. So make sure you open doors, take off layers if you need to. Otherwise, admin over, okay? Now let's take these legs a little bit higher again. Even in our warm-up, we're thinking about that moderate intensity, okay? So just checking in that you can still breathe, still talk. And let's do 5 more seconds here. 3 and 2 and change into some squats. So feet in parallel for me, knees roughly pointing forwards as we sit down into those squats. And inhale down, exhale up if you want a breathing pattern for this. Now from the side, just make sure that you're hinging forwards. So as you sit your bum down, you're keeping your spine relatively neutral. So there's this hip and knee hinge. So what we're not doing is this, and we're also not overextending. We're finding that middle ground. Let's do 2 more of these, and 1 more, and then change. Feet as wide as is comfortable in parallel, and into a skater stretch. So 1 leg bent and 1 leg straight. And we're just feeling a nice stretch on the inside of the straight leg. And we're breathing. So hopefully you're also feeling a bit warmer, breath rate's increasing, but you can still talk. We're going to do 3 more, and 2 and 1. Feet a touch closer together, hands on your shoulders, and nice big circles with these arms. Now, if you're quite new to exercise during pregnancy, it's sometimes wise to do slightly shorter workouts at first and build up. So if after around kind of 20 minutes or halfway through, you want to then fast forward to the cool down, then go for it. Just reverse those arms for me. And then you can always build up gradually as you feel comfortable to do so. And breathe. Lovely. 3 and 2 and 1. Shake out those arms, feet hip width apart and parallel, and just some single calf raises here. Really getting those ankles moving again. Good, firing those calves, and breathe. 3 and 2 and 1. Give those ankles a rotate, one direction and then the other, and rest. Now don't stand still, have a walk around, have a quick sip of water. I'm going to demonstrate your first cardio round now. It's 2 exercises, so I'll demo them and then we can do them together. So first exercise will be a skater. So we'll be going from one end of the mat to the other end, taking up as much of the mat as we can. Now, if you prefer lower impact, you can sidestep. You don't have to jump. Second exercise, we've got jumping jacks. And again, here's the regular exercise. If you prefer a lower impact option, then this is it. Both arms and one leg. Now, if you're super fit, you could add some light dumbbells into your hands to increase resistance as well. So, starting at one end of the mat, going in 3, 2, 1. So we're going to skate from one end of the mat to the other, taking up as much of the mat as we can. Now again, it might be that the pelvic floor doesn't love this, so we might take smaller steps, and rather than jump, we sidestep. You could add dumbbells in if you need to make this harder, but we've got 5 seconds left, then it's jacks, 3 and 2 and 1. So regular jacks here, but again, if you prefer the low impact option, it's here. And there's various reasons you might prefer the low impact option. Maybe like me, your boobs aren't loving bouncing around, or your pelvic floor is struggling slightly. Maybe it's just that this version is enough and it gets you to moderate level. 5 seconds to go. Good. 3 and 2, 1, and rest. Now don't stand still. Wander around. Remember what I mentioned about that extra fluid in the body? If I now stand still, that blood is going to go bump towards my feet and I might feel a bit lightheaded. So keep wandering around and just check in. How did that first round feel? Because we will be repeating that in a moment. So do you need to move a bit faster? Was it too easy? Was it too hard? Do you need to slow it down? Now, whilst we catch our breath, we're going into something called a toner. So we're going to make the most of this recovery time with some strength work. So come to the middle of your mat for me. And I'd like you to find a relatively neutral standing position. So I want you to have a look at your feet and check that they're about hip width apart and parallel. Now think about your knees. I don't want them locked out, but I also don't want them bent. So just make your knees a bit soft. Think about your pelvis, almost like it's a bowl of water that you don't want to spill. So just watch you're not tilting forwards. The rib cage should be stacked directly above the pelvis, and your arms are by your side, you're showing off your collarbone, and your eye line is straight ahead. Now once you've found this might feel a bit awkward. This is not perfect posture. You do not need to be like this all day. It's just a slightly more neutral start position for the purpose of this exercise. Now when you're ready, I'd like you to slowly start to reach your arms up overhead, taking them only as far as you can keep that neutral position you just found. So if we went too far, we'd start to lean backwards. So stop before the rib cage lifts, and then inhale, lower these arms back down. Again, exhale, lift your arms up towards the ceiling, find that bite point. Inhale, we lower the arms back down. And we're going to keep this movement going. Now, in everyday life, we would not behave this way. So let's say we needed to reach something off a really high shelf. Our body is so clever that to get more height, to get more reach with our arms, we would lean backwards to get up high. Just for this exercise though, I don't want the spine to move. I want it to stay nice and steady and stable. And that will encourage a little bit of abdominal engagement at the front here to hold the rib cage in place. So we're already thinking about working that core in a different way. We don't just always have to do crunches to work our core. Now we're going to do 2 more of these, and we're going to do 1 more. Now leave your arms overhead for a moment. Make sure your knees are soft. You're going to start pushing your bums backwards, and we're going to go into a hip hinge. So we're going to keep going as far as we can keep our backs nice and neutral. Feel your hamstrings and glutes stretching, and then as you exhale, push yourself back to standing. Again, inhale, push your bums backwards, hinge at your hips, go as far as you feel is comfortable. Exhale to push yourself back to standing. Now keep this going. Your back stays neutral, so don't round it or overextend it. We're still trying to keep that alignment that we found a moment ago. Let's do 2 more of these. Exhaling as you push the floor away. 1 more, and I wonder if we can come up halfway. So stop out on 45 degrees and hold. Just think about activating your core to support your lower back. So draw your tummy slightly in away from your trousers. You should feel your back working to keep you here. 3, 2, 1, stand up and rest. And you'll probably want to kind of slouch and shake out your arms. And that's a really good sign. It's because you've just worked muscles that stop you slouching. Now we've got those 2 exercises again. So it was skaters and jacks. So did you need to change it slightly this time? Maybe not. Maybe it was perfect first time. So one end of the mat jumping to the other. 3, 2, 1. So we're going to reach and return and reach and return. So we're taking up as much of the mat as we can if we're still happy with jumping. If we want that lower impact option, it's more of a side step. So taking some of the impact out, we can still pick up the pace. We can still make sure it's challenging. And if you need pushing harder, you can always have some weights in your hands. But again, remember that we're aiming for that moderate intensity, so we should still be able to talk. 5 seconds, then it's jacks. In 3, 2, 1. So little baby bend at the elbow, jumping out, bringing your legs all the way back together, or that low impact option is here. And it doesn't always mean that the low impact option is going to be easy, yeah? Because I could add some dumbbells in here, I could pick up the pace, but I know that if I actually went any faster, I'd go over moderate intensity, I'd struggle to talk. 5 seconds to go. 3 and 2, 1, and rest. Now remember, don't stand still. Have a walk around, check in, see how you're feeling, have some water. And we've got 2 more cardio rounds later on. So 1 at the end, 1 in the middle, but it's the same concept. It'll be 2 exercises twice. So you can start to think about how you might need to tweak it to make sure you're working hard enough without working too hard. Cool. So if you're ready now, we're going to come down onto the floor in a moment for some Pilates and functional movement. So we're slowing it down a bit and focusing on strength. So come to the end of your mat for a moment and reset. So just take a moment to find that relatively neutral start position. Slow the breath down, breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth. Nice big deep breath in through the nose, fill up all of the rib cage. Exhale, clean out those lungs. Now take another nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, let's start to roll down a vertebra at a time. Knees are soft, arms are dangly, and we roll all the way down to the bottom, and then we hold and we hang here for a moment. So just feel that lovely stretch running up the back of the body here, that postural chain. As we get more pregnant and our bump gets heavier, those muscles running up the back of the body have a much bigger job. So you might find that things like roll downs at the start and end of the day really start to feel nice and give those muscles a break. Now from here, bend your knees enough that you can bring your hands to the floor and come and meet me on hands and knees. So 4-point kneeling here. And we're going to take a moment to find a nice neutral spine. So we're still thinking about that rib cage and that pelvis being stacked. Essentially what we don't want is this, which is lots of flexion. And we're also not aiming for extension. We're sort of finding a middle ground. Now start thinking about your breath. Breathing in through your nose, filling up all of the rib cage. And as you exhale, cleaning out those lungs, get rid of all of the breath. Again, nice big deep breath in. Try and breathe into the sides, the back and the front of the rib cage, and then exhale, you'll blow it away. Now I'd like you to keep that going, but on your next exhale, I'd like you to do a pelvic floor lift. So take a big deep breath in, and as you exhale, lift your pelvic floor, like you're holding in a poo and a wee, and on the inhale, let it go, let the pelvic floor relax. Again, on the exhale, lift the pelvic floor like you need a poo and a wee. And on the inhale, let the pelvic floor relax. And we're going to keep this going. Now, if you have a look down at your tummies, whether you've got a bump or not yet, when you lift your pelvic floor, you might notice that your tummy draws up slightly or tenses or tightens. And on the inhale, it releases back off. Don't worry if you don't see that. But if you do, it's because we have a co-contraction When we engage our pelvic floor, our corset muscle, our transverse, which wraps around our trunk like a corset, also fires, so it also contracts, and that's what we can see here. Now we're going to exaggerate this even more. So on your next exhale, I'd like you to lift your pelvic floor, but I'd also like you to try to engage that corset muscle. So inhale to release, and as you exhale, you can imagine maybe tightening up, doing up a button on a pair of tight jeans. That would work. Or the next time you do it, you could think about somebody tightening up a corset for you, so pulling on the strings and tightening it slightly. Or when you look down, you could just literally think about almost using your abdominals to hug your baby in. And doing that with that pelvic floor contraction is really going to stimulate that transverse muscle. So when we look down, we should notice that there's some movement going on here. Don't worry if there's loose skin or fat there over those muscles. Everything draws up together. So as you engage those muscles, the skin and fat goes with it. So we will be able to see some movement here. Now we're going to do 2 more of these. And at first it might not be a huge movement. Maybe you've never thought of training these muscles. Well, during pregnancy, we're going to be. They're so important. Let's do 1 more. Now I'd like you to do that and hold. So I've lifted my pelvic floor. I've gently tightened up my corset muscle. And we're going to try and hold this because what's really important is that we're able to breathe whilst we do this. So there's no point only being able to engage your core when you're holding your breath. How is that going to work in life? So you can hear that I'm still talking, which means I'm breathing. I can look down and see that my core is still engaged, so I know I've still got it on. Can we keep holding for 3, 2, 1, let it go. Come up to standing kneel and just give your arms a quick wiggle and a shake. Now think about what that group of muscles does for you during pregnancy. So here I am with a bit of a bump. Here I am relaxed. Here I am when I engage. It's almost literally like a pregnancy girdle helping to support what will eventually be a very heavy bump. So really important. Now whilst we're up here in standing kneel, try and find a relatively neutral position. So ribs are over the pelvis and we're up nice and tall. And then when you're ready from here, I want you to have your arms by your side, nice and straight, palms face backwards. Start to pulse these arms, pushing them back, 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 with them nice and straight, so no floppy wrists, and we push, push, push. Almost like you're trying to create a breeze, or you're pushing your arms through some melted chocolate, and the movement is coming right from the head of the arm. So up in that shoulder socket, I'm not thrusting my hips or wriggling around. The rest of me stays nice and still. Now this is going to require some support from those muscles we just trained. So our stabilizers, our pelvic floor and our corset muscle, and probably a little bit of glutes as well to stop me sitting down. Final 4, 3, 2, push back and hold. And then relax your arms and just have a quick wiggle. Now, from here, re-find that neutral again. We're going to bring our arms up to about shoulder height and just relax the shoulders. Don't shove them down, just relax them. Now, keep this neutral line that you've created from the head to the knees. And as you inhale, you're going to slowly start hinging backwards from those knees as far as you feel safe. Exhale, come back to your start position. So again, as we inhale, we start to hinge at the knees, we drop back nice and steady. Exhale, we come back to our start position. So the only joint that's changing here is my knee joint. I'm not moving my hips, I'm not changing the shape of my spine. If I do this, my abs aren't showing up and I'm going into extension. If I do this, my glutes aren't showing up and I'm sitting down. So we need them both to be showing up to keep us neutral here. And we should feel our quads working. So we call this a quad stretch, but it doesn't feel much like a stretch, does it? It feels more like a burn. Now 2 more like this. Inhale it back, exhale to come back up. Last one, and then on this last one, go back and hold. Now if you want a bit more, lift your arms up, hold it here for 3, 2, 1, and rest. And chances are you're going to want to rub your quads and have a quick breather. Now, take your time. We're coming up to standing for our second round of cardio, but just don't go too quickly because you can get a bit lightheaded. And when you do get to the top, have a quick sip of water. So your next two exercises, we've got squat kick first of all. So feet will be hip width apart. We'll squat, come up, left leg will kick, squat, come up, right leg will kick. So we'll alternate each time. You could add some dumbbells in if you wanted to work harder. Then it's arm pull, so feet are wide, arms are out in front. We kick the heel to the bum, we bend the elbows back, and we squeeze the shoulder blades together. So when you're ready, coming into your first squat position, so get your nice alignment. 3, 2, 1. So we're going to squat down, come up, left leg kick, squat down, come up, right leg kicks. So we're alternating each time. We're trying to get a really nice squat technique here. So remember, it's about imagining when we're sitting down on a chair. It's not like you're trying to touch your toes, yeah? You've got to get that bum down, nice and low. And we've got 5 seconds left. Lovely. Final 3 and 2 and 1. Now, feet wide, arms out in front. We bring the heel to the bum. We pull the elbows back and we squeeze those shoulder blades together. Now, we're not kind of body popping. So try and keep those ribs stacked over the pelvis rather than kind of leaning back and then hunching over. We have 5 seconds to go. Can you still talk? Good. 3, 2, 1, and walk it off. So don't stand still, have some water, and then just think, okay, when I do that second time round, do I need to work harder or do I need to rein it in a touch? Really nice. Okay, so into our next toner. So again, making the most of every second that we have together. So come to stand in the middle of your mat. Take a moment to find a relatively neutral standing position. Then we're going to bring our arms up to cactus. So my shoulders and elbows are at 90 degrees. And then just have a look at those forearms. Can we try and get them vertical? We might notice if we're at laptops all day or we've already got children that we tip a bit. We really struggle to get that arm back. That's quite normal, quite common, I would say. Just make sure that getting your arms here hasn't caused you to lean back. Try and keep the ribs over the pelvis if you can. Now from here, we're going to start to rotate these arms so the palms face the floor. And then we're going to rotate them so the palms face forwards. Again, we rotate them so the palms face down. And then we rotate them so the palms face forwards. Now, if you still feel like you need to keep your feet moving, you can rock from foot to foot. Just thinking about how sometimes we can feel like all the blood's gone boof down to the feet. So just keeping those legs moving can really help. And from the side, I'm kind of aiming for a kind of 90-degree rotation here. I'm not moving my spine because that's cheating. I'm moving the arm in the shoulder socket. Now, when we think about modern lives, there's a lot of this. Laptops, phones, maybe we've already got children. We're always in a lot of medial rotation with the palms down. We're here, we're getting the opposite, aren't we? We're turning the arms back, so external rotation, turning the palms forwards, really important. So focus on that turning back. And if we think about life with a baby, again, it's a lot of this. So we want to get strong up here now. So let's do 2 more. Lovely, 1 more. And then when you're done, you can relax. And it should kind of make you want to slouch. Now you could do that with some light dumbbells next time if you wanted to. But we're doing that again in a bit, so be careful. So second time round with our squat kicks, then arm pull. So find your squat position. 3, 2, 1. We're going to squat down, come up, left leg kicks, down, come up, right leg kicks. So we're alternating each time. Hopefully with a pretty neutral spine, so hinge forwards. Get those bums nice and low. And I like to try and put my foot back in the same footprint each time. So I know that I'm always coming back to parallel, roughly hip width. Really nice. 5 seconds to go. And we've got 3 and 2 and 1. So feet are wide, bring the heel towards the bum, and we row. So remember, we're trying to kind of lead with the shoulder blades here. Get those shoulders moving. Again, thinking about how we spend a lot of time like this. So get those shoulder blades back without forcing the ribs out. Really nice. So give me 5 more seconds here. Then we get a bit of a break. 3, 2, 1, and walk it off. Have a wander, have a quick sip of water, and just check in with how you're feeling. So remember, if you're new to exercise and you think, you know what, actually I'm feeling pretty poop now, feel free to fast forward to the cool down at the end of this and build up to the rest of the class as you see fit. Now, we're going to come back to the end of our mat, and we're just going to take a moment to slow our breath back down, reset, find a relatively neutral standing position. Then take a big breath in, and as you exhale, roll down, chin to chest, peeling down a vertebra at a time until we get to the bottom, and then we hang for a moment. Now from here, bend the knees enough that you can put your hands on the floor, and we're going to come back out to full-point kneeling again. So hands and knees. Now, not everybody loves weight bearing like this on their wrists. So if this is not comfortable for you, try shifting your weight back a little bit. You don't have to be so much over these arms if they're getting really tired. And then I want us to do cactus again, just with our right arm in this position, and it's going to feel different. So take your right arm out to cactus. So remember, it's out to the side, my elbow and my shoulder at a 90-degree bend. Now already, this is quite challenging. Gravity wants to pull the arm down. Our strength is going to have to hold that arm back. Now inhale, rotate the arm so the fingers point down. Then exhale, rotate the arm back to cactus. Inhale, we rotate the arm so the fingers point down. Exhale, we bring it back so the forearms parallel to the floor. So we're aiming for, again, roughly that 90-degree rotation. It will slightly depend on how flexible you are through that shoulder. And external rotation, so bringing the arm back to parallel to the floor, should feel pretty challenging. Now we're going to do 2 more of these. Lovely. 1 more. Bring it back to cactus and hold. Now I want you to reach it forwards like you're Superman and keep it there for a moment. Building our resistance in the back of the shoulder. 3, 2, 1, and child's pose. Maybe take the knees a bit wider. Just sit down on your heels with your arms. I wouldn't push the floor away. I would just let them rest. So bend your elbows. Let the arms just be heavy. Have a quick breather. 3, 2, push yourself back up. I'm afraid we have the other arm to do. So back to full point kneeling. Take a moment to get a relatively neutral spine. Bring your left arm out to cactus start position. So elbows in line with the shoulder, the forearms parallel to the ground. And then we're going to rotate the arm so the fingers point towards the floor. Exhale, rotate the arm back to cactus. Inhale, we bring the fingers towards the floor. Exhale, we bring the forearm parallel to the ground. So we've got a roughly 90-degree rotation going on here. Try not to sink into this right shoulder because I can guarantee that our right shoulder is probably getting quite tired. So try not to sink. And we're going to do 3 more of these. Last 2. And press. Good. Last one. Let's finish in cactus. Hold it there for a moment. Now reach the arm forwards like you're Superman and stay. Holding for 3 and 2 and 1 and rest. Take a child's pose again. Maybe bring your arms by your side this time so your hands are by your feet and just let those shoulders collapse around you. Have a quick rest. 3 and 2. Then use your hands to push yourself up. Now, we're going to come on to some glute work. So I'm going to need you in full point kneeling, but we're going to come down to forearms. So the wrists get a bit of a break. Shoulders are still working, but you can shift your weight back, remember, to take some weight out of those shoulders. Now, try and level off your spine. Try and get it pretty neutral. So again, we're not rounded, we're not extended, we're somewhere in the middle. I want you to work out which one is your right leg. Bend your right knee, almost like there's a tennis ball behind it you're holding on to. And then as you exhale, you're going to start to lift that right leg up towards the ceiling, and we're going to hold. Now the tennis ball behind the knee gives your hamstring something to do. It should be your right glute that has lifted your leg up, okay? Watch that you've not gone here into extension. We don't need to go that high. Now inhale, lower that leg back down. Exhale, bring it back towards the ceiling. Inhale, the right leg comes down. Exhale, we bring it back to the ceiling.
So it's a glute kickback, right? There's only one joint that should be moving here, and that is your hip joint. So in theory, it's quite a simple exercise, but other muscle groups will try to take over. So you might find that your back tries to pull your leg up, which will look like this. So you'll find that your spine is moving as your leg moves. That should not be happening. We're not using our back to lift our leg here. We're trying to use our right glute. You might also notice that the leg tries to sort of extend and bend as it moves. Try not to do that. Imagine that tennis ball behind the knee. That will keep the knee bent. Now we're going to do 2 more of these and press. Last one, I'd like you to lift that leg, hold it there. Flex your right ankle and then start to pulse the leg up, almost like you're trying to kick the ceiling. 4, 3, 2, hold. Bring that leg down and push yourself up to standing kneel, and take a moment here to make sure you're not feeling lightheaded. So we were trying to work into the glute max here, the back of your right hip, and we're going to keep working it now we've warmed it up. So bring that same leg forwards, that right foot forwards, and I want it to be that the heel is underneath the knee. So we've already got some nice alignment. Now try not to tuck your left foot under, because that's cheating. Bring your hands to prayer, hinge forwards just a little bit, and then all we're going to do is we're going to press down into this right foot. And what that will do is it will lift your left knee off the floor. Or if it doesn't lift, it at least feels like it's about to lift off the ground. So I'm pushing down into my right foot, and that activates my right glute, which tries to stand me up. Now we can carry on like this, but if you want to, you can actually come up and stand up. Don't put much weight in the left foot at the top, and then try and come down slowly with control. So press down into that right foot and then control yourself on the way down. So totally up to you. I don't want it to be that if you're doing this option, your knee is banging on the floor, and try not to tuck your foot. Remember, that's cheating. So whatever you're doing, we're going to do about another 3. Use your exhale to push into that right foot. Good. Last 2. Let's do 1 more. When you're done, come back down to the bottom, come back to both knees, and have a quick rest. Now, if you didn't feel that at the time, don't panic. Excuse me, it's one of those ones that you can feel the next day when you're getting off the toilet or climbing the stairs. And again, we've got the other leg to do. So come to full point kneeling, lower yourself onto your forearms, and try and get comfy. You know you're here for a while now, so you can always shift back. Find neutral, bend your left knee. Imagine a tennis ball behind it. Start to lift that leg to the ceiling and always hold the first one. And it just gives you a chance to kind of check you haven't gone into a big back bend. Your core is slightly active to help support you. Try not to lean over to the right too much. It's almost impossible, but try not to. And then inhale, lower the leg, and exhale to lift the leg. Inhale to lower, and exhale to lift. So you might be able to hear how I'm actually a little bit out of breath, and it's because we're using some really big global muscles that require lots of energy. And to get that energy, we have to increase our breath rate to get more oxygen into the body. So you might find that even though this isn't necessarily considered cardio, this bit, it's still getting the heart rate up. It's still got a cardiovascular effect. So my knee stays bent. That will keep my hamstring in check. But it's my left glute that's pulling the leg back. It's that glute max that's extending that hip. Try not to let the abdominals just completely check out. That will cause you to back bend. And let's do 3 more of these. Last 2. On the last one, lift and hold. Now flex that left ankle and kick the ceiling with that foot. 4, 3, 2, and hold. Lower the knee down, come up to standing kneel. And then bring that left foot forwards. Doesn't get a rest yet, no rest for the wicked. So left heel is underneath your left knee, so you've already got nice alignment. Don't tuck your right foot, hinge forwards a bit. Press into that left leg. Now you've woken up that glute, use it to help lift you. Now you might find the knee does not actually leave the floor, that's fine, but it should at least feel like it's about to, or it's getting light. If you feel safe enough, you could come all the way up to standing. And if you are, can you notice a difference between the 2 legs? So I'm really dominant on my right side.
So I find it's a real struggle with this left leg. It's always quite interesting just to see how much of a difference in strength we can have between limbs. So maybe you're struggling a bit on the left side too. Just because you stood up on your right leg does not mean you have to on this left leg. Maybe you think, you know what, I'm losing my technique a bit. I'm just going to focus on the easier option. So I always say I want it to be challenging, but I do want you to have some pretty good technique. Now we're going to do another 4. There we are, I'm out of breath again. Hopefully I'm not alone here. 2 more. Good, 1 more. When you're done with that last one, come back to both knees, have a quick sit down and rest. Lovely. So guess what we have left? We've got 1 round of cardio left and then a cool down, which is really important. So try not to rush off before you do that. And then you're done. So take your time, come up to standing. Make sure you're not lightheaded. I've got a demo anyway, so there's no rush. So first exercise is going to be an overhead reach. So we imagine that we're trying to touch the ceiling. We tap the same foot out to the side. Now you could use dumbbells and almost punch the ceiling with them. Second exercise is floor to ceiling. So we reach down as if we're trying to touch the floor. You don't actually have to touch the floor. Now we can either jump up and touch the ceiling. We can come up and calf raise, or we can just stand up, depending on how much impact you like. So, overhead reach. So we're going to have the arm reaching for the ceiling in 3, 2, 1. So we reach to the ceiling, the same foot taps out to the side, and we breathe. So I like to kind of find a pattern with the breath. So maybe I exhale on each reach, but as long as you're breathing, that's all that matters. And again, it's about what gets you to moderate intensity. So if you need to go faster or slower, try not to compare with me. It's what works for you, okay? 5 seconds to go, then floor to ceiling. 3, 2, 1. So we're imagining that we're touching the floor. We can jump at the top. We can do a calf raise instead, or we can just reach the arms overhead. I think if I jump, I won't be able to talk. So I'll know I'll go over moderate intensity, plus it'll be awkward because I won't be able to teach you. But again, you might be able to go with the jumps. You might do a calf raise. You do what works for you. 5 seconds left. 3 and 2 and 1 and rest. Walk it off. So have a quick breather. Really lovely. And just think, was that okay? Second time round, will I do anything different? Might be by now you're actually like, you know what, no, I know that that's moderate for me. I know I feel good. Now, for your final toner, hooray, single calf raises. Now, if you're a bit wobbly like me, you might just want to make sure you can hold onto a chair or a shelf, or you can just do double calf raises. So we'll start with doubles, feet hip width apart, come up onto the ball of your foot, and then come down. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. And again, we're getting blood moving from the feet back to the heart. If you sit down a lot for work during the day, you might just want to get up a few times and do some calf raises during a pregnancy for the reasons I've already given. And you can come back to this if you don't like the next option, but on the next one, we're going to come up, we're going to stay. Now shift your weight over to your right foot for me. Leave the left foot on the floor for support, but then just calf raise with this right leg. So drop and lift and drop and lift. Now obviously the less weight you put into your left foot, the harder you work. Okay, some of you might feel safe enough to take the foot off the floor. If I do, my technique just goes out the window, so it's almost pointless. I'd be better off making it a little bit easier and doing it well. Good, I'm going to do 2 more on this side. Let's do 1 more and switch. Weight over to the left foot, and again, left leg is now going to calf raise. Now, you might be wondering why single calf raises. If anyone's planning on continuing jogging or running or anything that's bouncy during their pregnancy, which is totally fine, then making sure your calves work really well can help reduce impact, can make it bouncy rather than really heavy and stompy, which can put quite a lot of pressure through your pelvic floor during pregnancy and postnatal. So great to have good single calf raises. 2 more, 1 more, and then rest. You might want to give your ankles a shake or a rotate. And then those last two exercises, so remember it was overhead reach, then floor to ceiling. So do you need to change it up at all? So overhead reach in 3, 2, 1. So we reach for the ceiling, same arm, same leg. Just watch you're not leaning backwards. It might be that the arms need to be a little bit more in front of you. Think back to when we took the arms overhead earlier on and we were trying not to bend back as we did it. It just helps you get a bit more abdominal engagement, which is really helpful during pregnancy. And we've got 5 seconds left, then it's floor to ceiling. 3, 2, 1, change. So we're going to reach down towards the floor. We can jump, we can calf raise, or we can just stand up. Now, really, floor to ceiling is about getting some really good technique ahead of when the babies are here. Because if we think of how many times we're bending down to pick baby up, or pick up car seats, pick up dummies that have fallen on the floor. So let's get really good at them now. Thinking about sitting that bum down. Okay, 5 seconds to go. 3 and 2 and 1 and rest. Now walk it off, but not for long, because I need us to get into our cool down whilst we're still kind of up there, whilst we've still got moderate intensity. And we're going to come back to marching on the spot. Legs as high and as fast as they were at the end of the warm-up, yeah? So starting at the highest point. And then what we can do is reduce that by half height and half speed. Now take a moment to think about your breath, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. Really nice. So as we're doing this, we're just trying to lengthen each breath, and that will slow our breath down as well. Now reduce this by half again, so it barely looks like we're moving. And again, nice long, deep breaths. 5 seconds left. 3 and 2 and change. Feet as wide as is comfortable in parallel again into your skater stretch, but hold it for a few seconds each way this time. Now when you're pregnant, you're more flexible because of your pregnancy hormones, and so it's a little bit easier to overstretch. So with your stretches, they should feel nice. You should be able to smile, which is always a bit weird in a fitness class. You should be able to breathe, okay? There shouldn't be any frowning. Let's do 2 more, 1 more, and then change. Feet a touch closer together, straight arms this time. Nice arm circles. Just opening up those shoulders. And let's do 2 more and 1 more, and then reverse it. Other direction. Really nice. Nice floppy arms, so they get a bit of a break. And 3 and 2 and 1. Shake out those arms. Feet hip width apart, so back to just those gentle single kind of pedaling of the ankles. Hips stay relatively still. And again, just slow down that breath. Now, hopefully your breath feels kind of back to normal, which is really important because we finished with some pelvic floor work. Now, normally a full pelvic floor set of exercises would include 10 holds and 10 pulses. Now, 10 holds would take quite a long time. It would take a good few minutes. So we're only going to do a few of them, but we are going to do all 10 pulses. But if you have time to do a full pelvic floor routine, then of course you can do that after the class. So just give those ankles a quick rotate, quick shake out and rest. Now, for our pelvic floor exercise today, we're going to be doing it in a position that's a bit awkward because we don't only ever sneeze or cough when we're sat cross-legged thinking about the pelvic floor. So what I'd like you to do is stand on your mat, and then with your right leg, almost imagine you're about to walk off the corner of your mat. So you're in this kind of like weird staggered position, and then bend the knees a little bit. So this is a slightly awkward position now, which is great because that's going to challenge the pelvic floor. Put a hand on your tummy, a hand on your bum. Remember that when we do our pelvic floor lifts, we're not trying to squeeze our bum cheeks. Bum cheeks should stay quite soft. Now take a nice big deep breath in, and as you exhale, I'd like you to lift your pelvic floor and try to hold. Now we're holding it almost like we're holding in a poo, a wee, and we're gripping with the vagina. We're lifting the pelvic organs. 3, can we still breathe? 2, 1, let it go. Now we're going to do 5 pulses with the same thought. All 3 holds and lifting. These are going to be quicker, so take a big deep breath in. Let's go. Let's lift up, release, up, release, up, release, up, release, up, release. Step back onto your mat. So we've done half. Let's do the other side. So with your left foot, step off the mat, almost like you're about to walk off to the corner of the room. Bend the knees a bit. You might feel your tummy activate. Remember, we learned about that earlier on, but try not to clench your bum. Nice big deep breath in, and then when you're ready, exhale to lift and try and hold. We're trying to hold for up to kind of 8 to 10 seconds. So keep holding whilst I'm talking at you. Holding in a poo, holding in a wee, gripping with the vagina, lifting. 3, 2, 1, let it go, and then 5 pulses to finish. Big deep breath in, let's go. Lift up, release, up, release, up, release, up, release, up, release. Step back on your mat and have a breather. Now, there are so many ways that we can think about engaging that pelvic floor, but that's just a way that we can do it that really challenges the pelvic floor in a dynamic way. But again, if you've got time to go off and do 10 holds and 10 pulses again, perfect, the more the better. I hope you enjoyed your workout today. You did incredibly. I hope you loved the combination of Pilates and cardio, and it's left you feeling strong and capable. I definitely felt it throughout that workout, but I feel great now. I'd absolutely love to hear what you thought of it in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And finally, to support me, please share this video with any mums-to-be you know or any communities that you're a part of. I've left details below all about the bump plan, my holistic prenatal online fitness plan that is designed so that you can join at any stage of your pregnancy. What makes the bump plan truly unique is that in all your workouts, I'm exactly the same stage of my pregnancy as you are in yours. If you enjoyed this trimester 1 workout and would like to explore how the bump plan can support you in your pregnancy, then I have an exclusive discount for you to use. To redeem £5 off a month for the rest of your bump plan subscription, simply enter the discount code MYBUMP at checkout. I've put the link below for you to sign up today. Thanks again for joining me today. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to link to the whole playlist of prenatal workouts so you can save it and go back to any of the workouts whenever you'd like. I look forward to seeing you again soon on the mat. Bye.